Hello and welcome. I would like to call this meeting to order on Wednesday, April 13th. It is still via Zoom due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I would like to do a roll call, please. David Lutz.
Here.
Rob Garrity.
Here.
Brian Beachkowski.
Here.
Michael Huff.
Here.
Jackie Katz.
Here.
Kiara Moore is still out with her newborn baby, and Jonathan Hurwitz has a family obligation this evening. He will not be here either, and we are still down one member after Jamil stepped down. So thank you for joining us. Quickly, do we have any minutes from last week that we need to discuss?
Yes. Sorry, I had it right here. Yeah, was that right? Yeah, six. Yeah, six. I'd like to propose to adopt meeting minutes from the April 6th meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, since we're via Zoom. David Lutz.
Yes.
Brian Beachkowski.
Yes.
Michael Huff.
Yes.
Rob Garrity.
Yes.
Jackie Katz.
Yes.
And Susan Klein, yes. All right, now that that's out of the way, I would love to get through all of the warrant articles tonight that we need to vote on, because we just got word from the printer that the timeline we had originally given them, due to, not that it's not the same timeline we always give, but due to other warrants for other towns that they're printing, they feel they need more time. And so we would like to get this to the printer early, which means our recommendations need to be written earlier, which means we need to get all the voting done as soon as possible. If we have to vote next week, that only gave us 2 days to write our recommendations. So if we can get it done tonight, it'll give us a little over a week. And Erica, you'll let me know what is the absolute last day you want them, and we will back up from there.
Okay.
When we ask for them. All right, so moving right along, Blythe, do you have anything before we get started?
Not in particular. I sent a couple points in the email today. So I'm here to answer any questions, give you any updates that you need. We're in good shape for the select board to sign the warrant next Tuesday night, and be ready to work with Erica to get it to the printer.
Okay, great. And as I go through the warrant articles, if any of them are the ones that have minor changes or anything that needs to be discussed, just go ahead and interrupt me and let me know that you want to point something out that may have changed.
Will do.
Okay. All right. Would you guys like for me to share the screen with the warrant articles in them, or just read them as they are and we go through? It's up to you guys.
I have mine up. I can see mine. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Let's see if I can get rid of this. No, I cannot. Okay. All right. So, and I'm going to just read them all. So if I bring up one that we don't actually take a position on or don't need to vote on, then just somebody tell me, because I'm not, I don't have my list in front of me. So
Can I
right.
raise a point of trying to move this forward? Is that when we vote, after we vote, if someone wants to volunteer to write it up, we should ask right then.
That would be great. Erica, will you be ready to keep track of that if we do it that way?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. Article 1 is.
It requires no action. That's the election.
Thank you. Article 2.
Don't expect any bills, so you could recommend indefinite postponement. And if something arises between now and then, we'll just pinch it and change course.
Okay, so Article 2, can someone make a motion to IP this unless
I vote to indefinitely postpone Article 2.
a second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, because we have to do this, and everyone's camera has to be on while we're voting on warrant articles, just for the moment that you're voting. David Lutz.
Aye. Or
Brian
yes.
Kowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Right.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
and Jackie Katz.
Hi.
Susan
Yes.
Klein, yes. All right, Article 2
Who's
is,
gonna write up that if there's anything to write?
Article 2 is IP. I can just do that one because I have to do a chair letter. I can do Article 2 as well,
Great.
just because that's easy to, requires no further thinking.
Yeah,
Okay. Article 3 is transfer to adjust the budgets and appropriations for the current. Do we have any transfers?
we will have one for snow and ice, definitely. We're still finalizing that number. We usually wait on this till the night of town meeting for you guys to vote it to make sure that nothing else comes up. So I'd suggest doing that again this year if you're okay with it.
Okay. So then no one needs to write anything about it?
You could write a very basic, sentence or two that just says exactly that, the town expects this a transfer for snow and ice deficit. There may be others, so it will be brought forth, recommendation will be brought forth at town meeting, something like that.
Okay, I'll do that one too. Town expects snow and ice. Will bring rec forward at town meeting. Okay, sorry, I'm just making notes while I'm going.
Oh,
Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to amend the select board's human resource policy compensation schedule by applying a general increase of 1.5 to all the steps on the compensation schedule effective July 1st, 2022.
No changes to that. This is the one we have it on the warrant every year.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion on Article 4, please, which is the COLA increase for the compensation schedule.
Non-union employees.
Non-union employees.
I move to pass Article 4.
Second.
I'm sorry, I move to
Approve.
endorse Article 4.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you, Mike. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
I abstain. My wife's a non-union employee. I think I have to abstain.
Okay, Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Hi.
Susan Klein, yes. All right. Article 5.
Writing up number 4.
Huh? Oh, yes.
Uh,
Who wants to write up number 4?
I could do it.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to fix the salary and compensation of all elected officers of the town as provided by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, 108, Section 108, and further to see what sum of money the town will raise and appropriate transfer from any available source of funds, borrow or bond to defray the departmental and incidental expenses of the town not otherwise provided for in the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2022. This is the town's general budget. This is the budget that Blythe went over the first, I believe it was the first week that we were meeting, or second week we were meeting. And Blythe, just real quick, do you have that total number? I believe it was 44 million.
Oh, goodness, now you're testing me. 43,365,000. Don't remember the last 3 digits.
Okay, so when you're writing it up, whoever's going to write that up, just make sure you go back and find the exact number for the budget because it needs to be.
Yeah, we discussed it last week and I will email it to whoever writes it up.
Is that in the spreadsheet you sent us, Blythe?
It is, but it isn't because you have to take out the deductions. Let me have, Todd and I will finalize that document and send it to you.
Great, thank you. All right, can I have a motion on Article 5, please?
I move to recommend Article 5.
May I ask a question beforehand?
Of
And I'm
course,
sorry, I apologize that I've never asked this question before. It talks about the salaries of elected officials. How many of our elected officials even make salaries anymore?
Just the town clerk.
Okay, just, all right, fine.
Yeah, no, we're
I
not.
wanted to
one
make
of the
sure,
towns who
I didn't
pays
think
our
any of
elected
them did,
officials.
okay.
Otherwise, there are some that do.
All right. If there's no further questions on the budget,
I will second that motion.
all right, seconded. Roll call vote, please, all in favor of David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
and Susan Klein. Aye, sorry, I didn't say it. Article 6.
Who's
Who's
writing?
writing it up?
Who wants to do the budget? That one's fairly involved, at least in the description of it.
I'm so
Mike-
happy
Okay,
because I'm doing 4 too.
great. Michael Huff is writing number 5. Just as always, just make sure you include the overall number and any of the important things that are in there that, people may need to jump out and grab them. Article 6, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate and transfer all available funds and sum of money to operate the Public Works Water Division Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2022. The following sums must be appropriated from the Water Division Enterprise Fund: salaries of $336,534, expenses $933,323. No capital debt, $453,239, and extra unforeseen expenses, $50,000, for a total of $1.77396. And it will be raised as follows: departmental receipts, 1.773 and change. Oh, they're all coming from departmental receipts. Okay, there we go. Does anyone
Move
have any
to-
questions or debate on this? If not, I'll take a motion.
I move to support Article 6.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski,
Aye.
David Lutz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. All right, we are moving along.
I'd be happy to write this up unless Rob wants to do it since he used to do this for a living, but
I'm happy to take a whack at it.
All right, so Rob Garrity's going to write Article 6.
Rob, I just threw you under the bus, but don't let me do that because I'll do it for the rest of the articles. So
Well, usually whoever writes Article 6 writes Article 7, just giving you a heads up there, Rob. Article 7 is also deals with water. It's just the Wastewater Division Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year of July 1st, 2022. The Wastewater Division Enterprise Fund, the salaries are $13,850, expenses are $118,000, capital outlay is $25,000, no debt, extra unforeseen bills are $20,000 with a total of $177,033. That number is shockingly similar, but off by $1 million to the number in the previous one.
It's like practically 10%, right?
It's literally almost the exact same number.
Yeah, except it's about 90% of our problem, so.
I know. And all but 20,000 of that will be raised from departmental receipts. If there's no further questions or discussion on Article 7, I will take a motion.
will there be an opportunity to discuss the $20,000 differential later on based on the presentation that was made at a previous meeting, or is this our shot?
So we have the article later on the warrant to talk about the shortfall.
Right.
So yes, but the 20,000 is planned to come out of retained earnings, of which we currently have on hand just shy of 90,000. So we have the money in place to be able to fund the budget for next year this way. It does leave, it means we have 20,000 less to make up the shortfall that we have in the current fiscal year if we were to apply some or all of our remaining retained earnings.
I think the important part here is that a lot of times, at least my prior perception was this was all within the division itself, but to really highlight this is town retained earnings going to support the division, which is no longer able to support itself because of the things we talked about.
Well, this budget is simply for next year, and the retained earnings that the fund itself has will make up, it'll be the 20,000. When we get to the shortfall for the current fiscal year, we will need a combination, depending on if we're able to bring in any more money, a combination of some of this funds retained earnings and some free cash. That's
Okay.
when we get to that one, we're not ready to call it tonight exactly what that breakdown is.
Okay, so this 20,000 is still from within retained earnings within the division.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And the discussion earlier will be about balancing this year's budget, or the discussion later, I apologize.
Yeah, and that's why we purposely put those other articles later on the warrant, because we have to pass this budget for the state for next year, and we don't want to muddy getting that done with cleaning up the issues that we currently have.
All right,
Okay.
The plan is to slide through this one and then debate.
no, slide through next year and go back to this year.
I don't know if I would have picked the word slide, but
Put
that'll
off
be my
for,
mortal
put
word
off
for
for,
tomorrow.
put off for another day. Let's put it that way.
Assume the best for next year and then manage this year.
Yeah.
Okay. I will take a motion for Article 7 if that's everything.
I move to support Article 7 as written.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski,
All right.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Okay. And
Hold on, Rob, you gonna
you're
write
okay?
this up or do you want me to do it?
Rob,
Found
you're
it.
okay. Yeah, thanks. 6 and 7 are Rob Garrity. Thank you. Article 8 is capital items, I believe, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate and transfer funds from any available source of funds, a sum of money to fund capital and other expense items and take any other action related thereto.
So we don't propose any capital expenditures this spring, so like last year, you
Might be.
could recommend indefinite postponement.
Okay, if I can have a motion.
I would like to move to indefinitely postpone Article 8.
Second.
Thank you. Jackie Katz,
Yes.
Rob Garrity.
Yes.
Brian Bichkowski,
Yes.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
David Lutz.
Yes, I'll
Susan-
write this one up. It's written from the
Right.
last 3 town meetings, so.
Susan Klein, yes. And David Lutz is going to write that one, Erica. All right, Article 9 is to purchase capital items through debt funding, should there be any items. The proposed select board- So issue the bonds. Do we have any capital items that we're borrowing?
Same as
money
number
for?
8.
It's the same as number 8? Okay, so.
I
we wanna flag-
recommend that we indefinitely postpone Article 9.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Mike Huff,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye, and Brian Bichkowski. Sorry, wasn't looking at my Zoom screen, which is what I'm usually doing. I mean, that's why it's always the same order because I read in which order you're on my Zoom screen, but I didn't click back. Apologies.
All right. I know who's forgettable now.
No, it's the order. Then I tried to be cute and go from the bottom up, and that's what messed me all up. Apologize. Okay. David, you're okay writing this one with Article 8 too?
Yeah.
Just mentioning that it's IP.
Same thing.
Thank you. Article 10 is to appoint any committee. Oh, this is just to read the reports. Do we have anyone reading reports?
We expect, so far, Energy Committee and Fire Station Building Committee both want to make reports.
Okay.
Quick
So can I have a motion?
commentary. The Energy Committee just got a grant for $145,000 from the Green Communities Program, which I think is awesome, and I hope that they boast about that at town meeting.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Rob, for the slide. Aye.
A little bit of advertising there for your job, Lutz.
Shut up.
All right. Can I have a motion on Article 10, please?
You don't need one.
Oh, we don't.
Need one.
Oh, never mind. It says it right there in big bold letters. Maybe I should put another pair of glasses on.
I was hoping to IP this article so we didn't have to listen to that stuff. but-
Oh, yes.
Just kidding.
Energy and, I'm sorry, energy and who else, Blythe? I'm sorry.
Fire Station Building Committee.
Okay.
All right, Article 11, so no action on Article 10, just putting that in for the record in case anyone's watching us. Article 11, to see if the town will reauthorize the spending limits on the revolving funds previously authorized by the town or take any action relative to. This is a request to reauthorize the expenditure limits of existing revolving funds. And do you want me to go through them? We have
There's
parking.
no changes from last year, if that helps.
Okay, so there's no changes. Some of the big ones are the recreation field maintenance fund, the cleaning and maintenance of unaccepted subdivisions, and council on aging. All of these are revolving funds that money comes out of and goes back into every year. So if there's no questions, I'll take a motion to approve.
I move to approve Article 11.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
Aye.
Michael Huff.
Aye.
Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Article 11 is approved. And who wants to write up Article 11?
I'll write it up. I think I've written it up before.
Okay, great. Thank you. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and transfer funds from any available source to fund promote professional services to update the town's 2007 master plan, including expenses incidental and anything related thereto, or to take any other action. This is, as it says, the master plan, the funding and the development, the update, the 2007 master plan. The town estimates the total cost of this to be $140,000, of which $40,000 has been obtained from a state grant. The request is for $50,000. The board will request an additional $50,000 at the May 2023 annual town meeting.
I have some
Anyone?
feelings on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm gonna pair it back what you had said, which is, it sounds like a good idea. Sounds like something that needs to be done. It's 50 grand. And I think, well, we talked about the process in which it's going to be done. But I just want to put back on the table. I'm not sure whether or not I support it or don't support it. I want to hear the debate about how everybody else feels about the 50,000 now. Which yeah, is now the time to do this.
Well, I mean, if we want to discuss it, we need to discuss it now before we vote on it. Everyone knows where I stand on this. It's not that I don't think a master plan needs to be done. I'm just not sure this is the right time. And if it's going to be the right time, I think that it needs to be very well explained at town meetings so people understand why the town feels it's a necessity to be done and how it's going to impact and affect us. That's my opinion on it. I can't control how they present it at town meeting, so. But that's what it's suggested that they do. Yes, Rob, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brian, I think was.
Oh, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
I just have a question, Blythe. I think I remember at one point we were talking about this and there was a connection to you need the master plan to qualify for some grants, or there were some dependencies that, so it wasn't just a plan to guide future actions, but there is a requirement at some point for a master plan within the town. Is that at all correct, or am I misremembering?
Yes, I'm just drawing a little bit out of my gray matter as to which ones.
Right.
But it's also tied together with the housing production plan, the open space and recreation plan. I think that one is required if you're going to go after some specific grants. And I mean, that's a little easy, that funding sources can be CPC for that particular one. So that's a little easier. And I would just remind people that we already have received a state grant of 40,000 for this purpose. So, you know, yes, it's an ask of $50,000, but it's almost it's a little more than matching what we have received so far, which helps get towards being done. So we will lose that at some point if we don't start. It will have to be returned.
Yes, Rob.
So folks, we're a $40 million business here. This is 50 grand, which is 0.125% of the 40 million we spend. We have a lot of free cash. So I was a selectman for 8 years. You guys saw that slide last time about the schools, or 2 times ago about the schools, where we actually had negative growth in the schools, I think 1 year, and we had like 0.1% another year, or 1% another year. Those are my years being selectman. I'll tell you, that wasn't the time to spend 50 grand on a plan. Now is the time to spend 50 grand on a plan. You need it to plan smartly to take advantage of the change in what's going on in the real world out there, right? Norfolk is a commuter town. Is a commuter town a viable future for a place? Should Norfolk be more of its own destination so that people actually stay in town and do things here? And we're not just a bedroom community, because there's not a lot of amenities here, folks. We need this kind of professional work to make sure that we're zoned properly, we're zoned smartly, we take advantage of the state programs, that we're, you know, this administration's done a good job on getting state money, but historically Norfolk really, you know, hasn't been the best at taking advantage of all the grants out there. And I say that as someone who works for the state, who for many years, you know, would give out state grants, either in the Department of Transportation or other departments. So, you know, I know that we can do a lot better, and we can do better if we have these kinds of plans. Look, it'll never be a better time than now to use 50 grand. I frankly would have preferred to use this if we could have somehow done it out of revenue replacement, COVID money or something like that. But free cash, with the amount of free cash we have, which is fairly substantial, I think this is a fine and paying dividend investment. So that's my 2 cents.
My comment on that is Rob talked a lot about us being a commuter town and turning us into a destination town. And one of the things, and Susan, you raised this, is that the B1 revisions that occurred a year ago are supposed to start dealing with that, but there's other things in that plan too. And the open space stuff is important. School planning is important, and the school planning has frankly nothing to do with economic development. We have 40Bs going in, some of which will allow kids in and some of which don't. We have other subdivisions that will be coming in. They're all going to allow kids. There's school growth stuff. I looked through the last plan, which was done 13 or 14 years ago, and there was a sort of a reference to the Freeman Kennedy, but not even an acknowledgement that Freeman Kennedy was going to happen. And it happened 2 years before we got the state funding for that. We need to have a better understanding of what's going to happen 5, 6, 7 years out in Norfolk. And if we can get that, someone, when they made the presentation on this, someone said that a lot of that last plan was developed by local volunteer committees with sort of limited professional help. I think we need a lot more professional help this time than we did last time. And this will pay for that.
David, as someone who's read through the last plan from 2007, can you see that it was used to guide choices over the last decade? Or like, when I look at our own internal funding.
That is, Brian, that's an issue. You're right. That's an issue, is that I don't know. I don't know exactly. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. It was probably more used in the first 2 or 3 years after it was done than 5, 10, 8 years out. But that's another reason you need to update this on a regular basis.
Some of the B1
can't have a
growth does come out.
13-year lag between master plans.
So again, I want to make it very clear that it's not that I don't support the need for a master plan. I don't feel that it has been explained to us in an appropriate way to get us to understand that. And that's what I'm concerned about with the town. I'm going back and forth. I'll just be honest. I know we haven't voted yet, but I'm going back and forth between voting yes, because I do feel it's important to discuss it at town meeting. And I want to make sure that it gets discussed. I don't want it to, our recommendation to end up failing. But at the same time, I want to make sure that if I do vote no, that it's more driving whoever's going to discuss this warrant article at town meeting to make sure they're prepared, that they can see that if I voted no, that means there might be other people who are questioning it and they might come better prepared. So I just want to be clear about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I just wanted to be clear about my reasoning why. It's not, if I do vote no, it's not because I don't support a master plan in general. It's that I want to make sure that they can explain the necessity for it now and how it's going to impact us and who's going to be using it, and why they need it. So
And just a little season on that, like what's the difference between this master plan and the exercises we went through for the B1 district? Because we did a lot of the same kinds of activities just for the B1 district.
right. I will say that Rich McCarthy explained that piece to me, the B1 discussion and the plan that Josh, I don't know if you guys remember who Josh was, but Josh was like the expert who worked with us on the B1. It definitely helped having an expert there. I will say one of the things I struggled with the B1 and the expert is that we were constantly being compared to towns that I did not think, I remember at one point in the advisory meeting, somebody, I don't know who, but one of us blew up at the guy because he said, someone asked what town, and he said Dedham. And we were all like, you cannot compare Norfolk to Dedham.
It was probably me.
And so I want to make sure that if I vote no, it's driving them to come prepared with answers, not necessarily just opposing it for opposing sake. And it's not just about the money. I mean, obviously $100,000 is a lot of money and we don't operate on a money tree, but I get what you're saying, Rob. It's such a small drop in the bucket of our budget. And it's, something that we need. I just want them to explain why it's needed now, who's going to be using it, how useful will it be. Sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case, but sometimes towns, states, cities, and obviously the national government, they spend money when they don't need to. So I just want to make sure that if we're spending it, it's a necessity and it's something that's going to help us in the long run. I'm not sure that the way in which the B1 master plan, if that's what it's even called, the one that only dealt with the B1, was actually as accurate and as useful as we needed it to be. It got the job done. The B1 stuff passed. Everybody was happy. So I just want to make sure that it's done in the right way. And that's why I falter on this one a little bit. I just want to make that clear because if I do vote no, people are going to go back and watch this on YouTube and want to know why I voted no. So I want to make sure that's clear. Yes, sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, it's okay. So I would say the way to make sure we do it right is to actually have a professional effort. That's the thing. That's why we felt in an 07, or yeah, it was 07, because there were proposals to have professionals come in and do design charrettes and things like that, that a larger, you do in a city, and people scoffed at it. And we ended up having, a good enough thing to get us through those couple of years, but it did not address long-term issues. We've got major stuff coming up, like what's going to happen on 1A. The 1A development is something that came up during that other process. And you've seen how 1A has grown and become a balanced commercial center for us. So I just think we do have to do these right. And that costs money.
Mm-hmm. And to answer your question, Brian, I'm sorry, I got off topic a little bit, but the B1 quote master plan that we saw only dealt with the B1, and this master plan will deal with the entire town, which will include everything from the airport to 1A to Freeman to downtown, obviously, as well, but all of Norfolk, if that answers your question and what's the difference.
And And it will deal with open space, and it will deal with affordable housing and all the things that are troubling us around the edges and getting much bigger towards the middle.
Mhm.
The affordable housing stuff is obviously, as we all know, become a major topic over the last 3 or 4 years because of the developments that have been proposed and approved and built and or not built. Brian, my concern is similar to your concern about how this is used. But I do think that is frankly, the job of the selectmen and the buy-in from the planning board, and the buy-in from other committees. The planning board is the only other major elected committee in town, but the two of those groups need to be on top of this stuff. The town administrator, and who works for the select board in that sense, but they implement what the select board wants to do, and the planning board has to be bought into, and the school committee is a third body that needs to be totally bought in. And I'm hoping that if it's done professionally, it becomes a document that's living and usable, rather than something you read and go, oh yeah, I remember we were supposed to do something about elementary school expansion, for instance, or we need to figure out how to do more open space preservation, but it's hopefully the plan maps out where, for instance, open space purchases should occur, when we should be considering looking at expansions to schools. It's not perfect. It's not I joke about planners. I work with a lot of planners. I joke about planners. They have a lot of fun because they don't have to ever get it right, because it's estimates, it's demographics that they're analyzing, it's census data, blah, 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 blah. But at least it can give you some parameters, some guidelines for what you're going to do next. And we need that.
Yeah, I'm mostly concerned that this is similar to buying skis in November, thinking you're going to go skiing every weekend and then never go skiing. So you've paid for the skis and you have
That's your fault.
Yeah, right. Well, and that would be our fault as a
Our
town.
fault.
If we paid for a master plan and then we never look at it again, that is our fault as a town. And
I agree.
And that's what
I'm agreeing with you. And I don't know if I have an answer on how to make that work. And I don't think any of us here does either.
It would also be nice to have it updated by the committees themselves as they make assumptions that are different than the master plan, or things come into fruition, that they constantly update the document to have it be a living thing, so that 3 years after we didn't pay for something and now we need to go hire another official because we've drifted away from that plan. I don't think we as an advisory committee can do that. Like, we can't hold everyone accountable, but it would be nice if the town elected people to the planning board who were committed to using the master plan to guide development or something similar. So that's my soapbox. I'm not sure it changes anything here, but that's where my head is.
One of the things, if I can, Susan, one of the things that would be important is that a year from now, they're going to ask for another $50,000. At that point, we need to have a full and complete update from whoever we've hired and whatever they've done for community engagement, board engagement, elected official engagement, to get a sense of where they're at with that. And if it dies at that point, it dies at that point. But we can't, we can't just, spend $140,000, not all of which is ours, and put it in a drawer. And we don't have to spend all of it before we get a full accounting of what that process is involved. We get another crack at this, in other words, is what I'm saying, before it's done.
Right. Meaning if we don't see a significant amount of progress and it's not reflecting.
An engagement, an
And
engagement and an understanding of how it's going to be bought into.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Again, I just, Blythe, if you know, as you know, I just want to make sure that it gets presented with all sides and aspects of it get presented at town meetings so people can understand. It's not just about the 50,000. It's about making, I can't tell you, and David, I know you're on the community page too. I can't tell you how many times someone on the community page somebody says something about noise from construction or the schools being overcrowded. And the next thing you know, somebody pipes in and says, well, if the town would stop developing. And I, of course, have to put my 2 cents in every time. And I say, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you this, but the town doesn't develop. The town doesn't own any land to develop. We don't develop as a town, right? These are people who own this land, and they themselves get to decide how it changes. Planning board and zoning can shape it, but it's still a private citizen who owns their land and can do what they want with it as long as it falls within our bylaws. So I do think a master plan is important because I think people need to understand that the town is not building and developing, but the town can shape and not, I don't want to say fix. They can shape and they can alter someone else's vision to fit what, and a master plan comes in handy for that, because then the planning board can say, well, we are going to oppose this because it doesn't fit into our master plan. I get all of that, but I don't think the everyday citizen is going to understand that. So I just want to make sure that whoever is presenting this, you know, at town meeting has that explanation ready and can answer those questions for people. I do think it's an important thing. It's probably not important enough that we've spent, you know, what now amounts to 45 minutes between this meeting and another one on $50,000, but it's still money. And I think people need to see that we take spending money seriously as a board and as a town. So, and that when we are spending money, that we have an answer and a reason as to why we're doing it, and how it's going to benefit us and how it's going to benefit everyone in the town. Because that's really the goal. When you're spending money, you want to make sure that everyone knows that in one way or another, they do benefit from the money that we spend. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're right.
Oh, hi, Chad. Thank you. Mr. Chad Peck just informed me that he's going to be the one presenting it. So if anyone has any points that they would like him to make or questions they want him to answer, please feel free to reach out to Chad directly and make sure that he is understanding where we're coming from and why we're coming from this position. So
I move to support Article 12.
okay, thank
Second.
you. Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski,
Aye.
Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Okay,
Susan.
I am going to I am going to vote yes. And I'm going to vote yes because I believe that Mr. Peck will do a fabulous job explaining why we need it. And I hope that he has heard our concerns and will make sure that they are addressed. And like David says, we do get another bite. So if we don't see an appropriate amount of progress and we don't see what we want to see, we can always vote no at a later date or reshape it at that time. So I will vote yes. I hope everybody's happy.
He's right.
All right.
Are you happy, Susan? That's the most
I
important.
mean, not really, because, you know, I wanted to vote no simply because, you know, I want to make sure
I
that
hear what you're saying.
people know we're spending money seriously.
I'd be happy to write it up.
Great. Thank you, Brian. I don't think anyone wants me writing that one up. So Article 12 passes and Brian
I have to
Beachkowski-
excuse myself just for a moment. I apologize. I'll be right.
Okay. Article 12 passes and Brian Beachkowski is going to write the recommendation for that one. So very slowly, I will explain Article 13 is to see if the town will vote to appropriate, borrow, transfer any available funds in the amount of money to be expended under the direction of the Norfolk School Committee to fund a feasibility study to expand the Freeman Kennedy School. The expansion project will include the addition of an early childhood center to address the current critical space shortage at the H. Olive Day School and to accommodate the growing enrollment at Freeman Kennedy.
Sorry, I was clicking on the chat button to see what Chad had just sent and accidentally stopped the recording momentarily.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
for the record, nothing was missed.
Nothing
Literally
was-
nothing.
Yep, nothing was
It
missed.
was a split second.
Article 13 provides funding to conduct the feasibility study to expand the elementary school and the need for a childhood center and to add capacity for future growth. Blythe, I believe this is the one that you said the amount changed. It was 150,000 and now it
Correct.
is
225.
225,000. Can you explain to the rest of the advisory board why that amount changed?
So superintendent's been doing her homework to understand what feasibility studies for schools cost these days, to have something done that will be, hopefully will pass muster with the MSBA and be thorough enough for our needs, and has determined that 150 probably will not quite be enough and recommends 225,000. So you probably saw in the spreadsheet I sent as well today, we're still able to commit just over $79,000 in money left over from HOD school roof, and the balance will come from free cash.
Great. Does anyone have any questions on the amount change, or does anyone have any discussion on supporting or not supporting this?
And again, if it doesn't come in at that full amount, this is just the upper limit on the authority to spend, correct?
Sure, yep, I mean, they want to be safe here, and
Obviously, if there is any left over and they don't spend this full amount, it will just stay in
can
the
be
fund.
committed to the next phase of the project,
Correct. Okay.
or returned and reallocated, you know.
I make a
Okay.
motion to, oh, go ahead.
Yep. That's what I was just going to say. If no one has anything further, I'll take a motion on this.
I did have one quick question.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
So a feasibility study is required for MSBA funding?
Yes,
Second Brian's motion.
Okay.
My motion was to approve the motion as written.
Okay. We are, sorry, just for the record, you made a motion to approve Article 13, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Article 13 passes. Who would like to write up Article 13?
I can do that one too.
Great, thank you, Brian. Okay, Article 14, to see if the town will vote sum of money equal to the state mandated minimum of 10%. This is a CPC article.
This is a standard one.
Yeah, this is CPC revenues towards the end of for the 3 CPC purposes. The remaining 70% will be undesignated, but must be utilized for one of the 3 allowable purposes. Okay. If there's no questions, I'll take a motion on Article 14.
Motion to approve Article 14.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve Article 14. Sorry.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity. Rob Garrity.
Say it, Rob.
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Thank you. Brian Beachkowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Apologies, Rob, but I promise you, if I don't get a verbal aye with your screen on, someone will report me, which has
I
been
know.
done multiple weeks
I
now.
apologize.
No, it's not your fault. I just wanted to explain. Obviously, we can see you shaking your head, but I get emails that I have to revote. So I just want to make sure you knew why. All right. Let me see. Article 15
Who wants
is,
to read up 14?
oh yeah, sorry.
I'll write it up.
Thank you, David. Article 15 is to see if the town will vote to, this is also a CPC, which requires $15,000 of CPA funds for administrative and operating purposes.
Motion to approve Article 15.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, my video is not on because I was trying to look at my thing. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Ryan Beachkowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye.
Aye.
Article 15 passes.
I'll write it up.
Thank you, David. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to allocate from the CPC fund open space reserve $5,000 to survey and map vegetation of the Norfolk lakes and ponds or take any action related thereto. This is the 4 ponds that will be assessed is Bush Pond, Comey's Pond, Populatic Pond, and Kingsbury Pond, and would be a prelude to the development of a full treatment plan for these 4 water bodies. Treatment has already been successful and is ongoing at Highland Lake, and will begin this spring at City Millis Pond and is pending for the 10 acres of Mirror Lake that is owned by Norfolk, meaning the part of Mirror Lake that is in Norfolk. So this is the CPC to survey and map the vegetation.
I think you guys have heard me complain about this before, but I am going to oppose this because I do not think we should be leaping in any way, shape, or form into involving the CPC and treating water bodies that are partially owned by private bodies and partially owned by public bodies. And I don't understand this. I think it's a madly slippery slope, which is going to have us in the business of something we don't want to be in. So.
Dave, then the alternative is that there's a, I mean, what's the alternative? That
the alternative is that the people who live on these ponds figure out what's going on. There is no recommendations here on sediment control or erosion control or infiltration control. There is simply, oh, we need to treat this stuff. I live on a pond. I actually don't live on the pond, but I'm part of a pond association who pays the taxes on a pond. Part of it is, the very small part of it is publicly owned. Most of it is privately owned. We pay to treat it when we need to treat it. A good percentage of these ponds, Bush Pond has come up several times. I don't think the town owns any part of Bush Pond except for the road that crosses over it. I don't understand why this is even on the list. Populatic Pond is primarily owned by private sector people, except for a couple beaches. Why is this on the list? I'm sorry to be so, I have way too much experience and way too much financial involvement in some of this stuff for this to be, it's a slippery slope, guys, to pay for this.
I understand. Blythe, is this because, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to talk right as you were getting.
It's in my office and it won't stop and I'm getting really hot. I'm just wondering, trying to go figure out what's going on. So sorry.
That's okay. Just real quick, is this part of CPC because even though the land that abuts these ponds is privately owned, there is access for the public to be able to put a
I think
boat
it's
or a
access. I mean,
paddleboard?
I'm not an expert in each pond, but my impression is there's access and the pond itself may be owned by the town, even if the land around it is not. I swear I'm not the expert. David may be.
I apologize, and I apologize. I know that Bush Pond has, I was on the Conservation Commission and the CPC, and Bush Pond was discussed, and none of it is owned by the town.
Okay, well, I freely admit I'm not the expert on that, and I would assume Cindy has been thoughtful about it. So, I mean, this is just to do survey and mapping. It's not to actually set up any plans or do any work.
How many
So
ponds do we have in town that we should map? I mean, that's part of my question here.
I would assume she would have been able to answer your questions when she came
Yeah,
to visit
I
you guys.
appreciate
So
that.
Well, it sounds like 6 because it says that City Millis Pond and
Mirror Lake.
Mirror Lake have already begun, and it was successful at Highland Lake. So that's 3 plus these 4. That would be 7 that Norfolk residents can either live on or partially use or
Drive over.
drive over. This one, if I understand, God, please don't let me be misspeaking. I'll wait till Blythe comes back. I believe this money, this $5,000 is coming out of their reserve. So they're spending their own money is what I'm saying. They're not asking.
It's our money though, Susan. I mean,
Well, yeah.
it's not taxpayer money, but it's money that the town controls, not the CPC.
It is taxpayer money.
Well,
Comes back to
everything is
It is
taxpayer
taxpayer money. You're right, Rob. And
Everything is
it's money
taxpayer
that they clearly had to seek an appropriation for.
Correct.
And
I'm sorry.
I apologize for not picking up on this sooner than tonight, and that it might be entirely my fault. But when this was on the only time this was ever presented to us was when Blythe ran through the warrant the first time, and I kind of assumed that the CPC was going to show up at a meeting at some point, and that's
So
my fault. And
that-
I'm not.
Nope, it's not your fault. They actually offered to come, but at the first meeting, when Erica and I were setting the agenda,
Yep.
and I'm not saying that you did anything wrong, but I asked, who do we want to hear from? And we wanted to hear from schools and we wanted to hear from Rich.
Right.
I think that probably the discussion was, the $200,000 for the budget and the whole.
Yeah, I didn't read this
Probably,
closely enough.
I think that those probably became the big discussions. And when we said, do we need CPC? Nobody said we needed them. So I didn't book them. So I apologize for
No,
that.
I didn't read it closely enough. So
that they did
I'm-
offer.
I'm simply stating that I think the issue with this article is that once the survey is done, the presentation will be, we're going to spend money on treating these ponds. And I think there needs to be a more comprehensive discussion of whether we should be treating some of these ponds. Bush Pond is a swamp. I think you could walk across it on the water lilies and parts of it. And what is the value of treating Bush Pond, except for the people who live near it?
What I was saying when I said it was their money, what I meant by that was they were not asking us for additional monies. It was just a transfer from their reserve fund, which obviously they need approval for. I understand that, but I wanted to make it clear that they weren't asking for any additional money.
No, I understand that, but the reason they have to ask.
So we have a
They have
choice.
to ask town meeting for this stuff because of these kinds of discussions. So
We have a choice. We can, and we can discuss it now. We can vote to IP it. We can vote to approve it and David can vote no. Or we can put it off till next week and we can ask CPC to come in. I would like to say that I am going to be in Alabama next week. My family lives way far out in the country. I cannot guarantee I will have Wi-Fi service on Wednesday night. To be able to be there. That doesn't mean you can't have a meeting without me. Either David can run the meeting or if Jonathan's available as vice chair, he can run the meeting. If for some reason I don't have Wi-Fi, if I do, I don't have an issue dialing in. You have to understand there's parts of Alabama that are so far rural that they just don't have Wi-Fi service. So I can't guarantee that it'll work for me.
I appreciate that.
So I guess that's my question. Do you want to vote to approve it and you abstain? How does everybody else feel? Do we need to hear from CPC on this? Do we want to IP it? I'm open to anything. This is obviously.
I'll share an opinion, which is I think even though the ownership, I may not be a owner on Bush Pond. My kids like to fish there. I drive over it. I like it to look nice. I think it has some utility, and so I like that even if even the small beach, I'm gonna start using that small beach on where was it? The pond right up here. No, I can't remember. But there's a small piece of beach that's owned by the town. I want all that
Atlantic
to
Pond,
look
I
nice.
think.
Yeah, that's right. I want all that to look nice. So I think that there's some utility for me as a townsperson.
Okay. Anyone else?
Are the CPC members elected or appointed?
They're appointed.
Hmm.
They
So this-
represent various boards in town, and there are 4 appointed members representing the 4 precincts. So the Concom, the Housing Committee, the Rec Committee.
Yeah, I got the list pulled up on who's there.
Yeah, they're all appointed. They're representative of those boards, and then there are 4 appointed precinct members.
I'm going to make a suggestion, if it's okay, and see if anyone is opposed to this. Erica, could you email back the person that emailed you that asked if we needed anything?
Yeah.
Ask them if they have a moment to jump on in the next half hour. I'm
Yep.
assuming it'll take us about a half hour to get through the rest of these.
Sure.
And if they do, and then can answer our questions, then we can go ahead and vote on it tonight. And if they don't, then I will leave it up to the rest of the board as to whether or not we go ahead and vote tonight on it or we push it. My vote is, I want to make sure that this is not my decision, but I would prefer not to push it simply because I can't guarantee I can be available next week and I don't want to hold up the warrant being printed. So I'd
Yep.
rather I see it if the
Yep.
board
Let
really
me
doesn't.
shoot her an email.
Okay. All right, thank you. So let's skip this
You
for
can
now.
also wait and do it at town meeting, that night, like you're doing Article 3, just an idea.
Yeah.
We
I
can,
know that's
but
not
I think-
preferable, but it's just.
Well, I
optional.
think this is one of the ones that people like to hear what the advisory board recommends.
No, I get that.
So if that's okay with everybody, we're just going to skip. We are going to skip Article 16 for a few minutes and
Do-
see if we can get somebody on this call.
Do we need to skip it? There may be votes there. We may have a consensus of the committee right now.
I have no issue going ahead and voting on it tonight. If it's okay, I'd like to give, a few minutes and just come back to it at the end. If they can't come on, and then we can either vote on it and let it be however it falls, or we can discuss it at that point. But I don't see the harm in skipping over it for 10, 15 minutes, if that's okay.
I don't think I think we can hear from someone if there's someone available.
Okay, so let's just give it a few minutes. Let's let Erica email them, see if they have the time to jump onto the call, and we'll come back to it in a few minutes. All right, so we're going to skip Article 16 for right now, and we're going to come back to it. We have Article 17. This starts the warrant articles adopting renumbering of the general bylaw revisions. The purpose of this project is to bring the town's bylaws into conformance with current laws and practices and to avoid and identify any other changes that may have been approved at previous town meetings. Article numbers, insert chapters, etc., and update internal references in the general bylaws. This is Blythe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the general bylaw change that is really just dealing with grammar and outlining and numbering. This has no
This is
significant.
numbering and recaptioning. It's not making any changes. It's
Correct.
putting the format that general code uses.
Correct. Okay, so if no one has any questions on Article 17, since it's just general housekeeping of the bylaws, I will take a motion on that.
I move to adopt Article 17 as written.
A second.
Thank you. All right. We have David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski,
But
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Okay, Article 17 passes. Who wants to, I would assume that whoever's going to take Article 17 is a zoning article, and they're going to need to do all of them. That would be my guess. Not necessarily.
Rob, do you want to do the zoning part and I do the general bylaw part, or what do you want to do?
That's
You want
cool.
to get involved in this or not? Rob and I are nerds, so we're government nerds, so we're bought into this in a way that some of you guys might not. be.
Well, normally this is something that I think Jonathan or myself would also be interested in, but Jonathan has missed the last 2 meetings and he's missing the voting. So I just don't, other than a general warrant article that he wouldn't have needed to be here for, I don't want to assign him anything. And I don't, with it being vacation week, and me being out of town with my kids, and I have to already write the chair letter.
I'd be happy to write up Articles 17 and 18.
Thank you.
David, why don't you take 19 too if you're doing all the general? Just a
Is
recommendation.
19 the one that, wait a minute, hold on.
17 is the recaptioning, 18 is this non-substantive changes, and 19 is the substantive changes.
I just want to check what's in 19 before I say.
I will do that when we get to it. So Article
Yep.
17 is going to be David. Article 18 is also not substantive changes. It is to adopt the following general bylaws set forth in the final draft of the code of the town of Norfolk. And it just references a couple of things that needed to be buttoned up and cleaned up, which you can see listed in the warrant.
We need a motion.
So I need a motion on Article 18, please.
Move to adopt Article 18 as written.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz. David Lutz.
Yep. Aye, sorry.
That's okay. Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Okay, article, this, I think I agree. You don't, the person who does 17 and 18, because they're non-substantive, does not also have to do 19. Someone else can do 19 because 19 is the substantive changes. But Article 19, whew. All right, here we go.
Oh, wait a minute. It's the
He
mechanical.
wants this one, he
devices.
does.
I'm on this.
Okay, so is this to vote to allow the following substantive changes to the Norfolk general bylaws as set forth in the final draft of the code of the town of Norfolk dated March 2022. The following bylaws are repealed. Article 10, subsection 31, it's prohibiting a mechanical bucking device. It's going to, so Article 10 already prohibits mechanical bucking devices, i.e. mechanical bulls. And this is going to repeal that article, which means we can have mechanical bulls in bars or restaurants within Norfolk town limits. It is also alarm systems, which is amended to change $50 to $100 and to delete the last sentence thereof, which originally read the activation of an alarm system through mechanical failure, malfunction, improper installation, or negligence of the use of the alarm system on their employees or agents. It changes buildings and the numbering of, to delete the last sentence, that buildings may be in Arabic numerals and written or in painted words. Okay. The bylaw shall be enforced by the fire chief. Oh, okay, this is just saying that you have to have a number on your building, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, and you
just-
can charge
and it-
$25.
right. And it's changing the amount. And then it's, but it says
Oh,
that,
it's setting it at 25. Yeah.
right, but it's
Rather
changed.
than, you're not allowed to have a not to exceed number.
Okay, and it's, the numbers can be made of metal or metal leaf painted on, and they may be numbers
No,
or written.
All
in-
it's, I think it's deleting all that. All you have to do is have a number.
Okay, great,
Be made out of plastic. It could be made out of paper mache.
great. All right, so that one, and then, oh my gosh. Canvassing and soliciting, no solicitor or canvasser license or exempt from the licensee shall, okay. Trespassing, it is unlawful for a canvasser or solicitor to enter the premises of a residence or business that has displayed a no trespassing or no soliciting sign, meaning they can't knock on your door if you have that sign.
We're changing the fee from $2 to $10.
Correct.
Which is substantive. We had this conversation, yeah.
Right. It's changing the last sentence for the fire hazard to not less than $10 nor more than 50 to just 50. the one that says for the purpose of the regulation of the bylaw, penalty phase shall be not less than 20 or more than 200. It's changing it to just 200 in the storage of flammable liquids. Those are all the substantive changes in Article 19. If no one has any questions on those or opposes them or needs to discuss them in any way, I will take a motion for Article 19 substantive changes to the Norfolk general bylaw.
I have a question on the storage one, but I think I can ask, I guess, the fire chief.
Sure.
Does this mean I can't store gasoline in my garage for my lawnmower?
No,
Okay. Thank you for answering that.
I only say that because I think someone asked that. He mentioned.
And I missed it.
that
I
in
missed
some
it then.
way.
Okay.
Yeah, he mentioned that in some way. Okay,
Motion to approve Article 19 as written.
Second.
okay. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. All right, Article 19 passes. Who's
I'll
writing?
write it up.
Who's that?
I'm happy, David.
Okay, thank you, David. Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen. Do we not have an Article 20, Blythe? Because it's going right to Article 21.
No, it's Article 20 is on the bottom of page 17.
Did I? Oh, Article 20. I'm sorry.
This is the renumbering of the zoning. So following the same theme,
It's the easy one.
20 is renumbering and recapturing the zoning bylaws.
Okay, great. So Article 17 was renumbering general bylaws. Article 20 is renumbering of zoning bylaws. This is non-substantive changes. So I'll take a motion for Article 20.
I move to approve Article 20 as written.
Thank you, Rob.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Brian Michkowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Article 21 is.
I'm sorry, is Rob writing these? I wasn't just. wanna
I
make-
threw Rob under the bus, but that doesn't mean he has to do it.
Anyone else
He
wants
wants
to,
to do it.
please do.
Okay. Whoever does this, I would again say whoever's going to do this non-substantive of the zoning bylaws should, same way we did with the general, it should be the same person to do the substantive as well, if that's okay. So is that going to be Rob?
Anyone else want it?
No, I
I
don't.
don't want to take your fun.
All right, so Article 20 is going to be written by Rob. Thank you very much. Article 21 is the substantive changes. I'm going to not read these because it is about 50 pages and we did just go over this last week. We all know what the big ones were for this. This is the one that has to do with childcare facilities. It has to do with the open space. It has to do with the parking, which was a concern for both the airport and
No, this is the
Road.
non-substantive changes to the zoning bylaw. The airport is a different zoning article altogether.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Article 24. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Apologies. I thought there's like 7 pages here that I'm trying to read while I'm talking. Okay. These are the substantive changes for the.
These are the non-substantive changes in 21.
Wait,
Yes.
I thought the non-substantive change. I'm so sorry, guys.
There's
Apologies.
clerical
those are 22.
non-substantives and then
Right.
substantive.
20 is numbering,
20 is numbering.
21 is the non-substantive,
thank
like
you.
word
Wording
changes.
Correct. Thank you. Sorry. You're right. I missed that part. I just realized how long it was and assumed it was the substantive changes. I apologize. Okay, so these are all the cleaning up of the zoning bylaws, non-substantive changes. So we can vote on this one if everyone's okay with that. I'll take a motion for Article 21.
I move to accept Article 21 as written.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you, David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski.
Aye.
Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Michael Huff.
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Okay, Article 22. Only 10 more to go, guys. Jeez. Article 22. These are the substantive changes to the zoning bylaw. Okay. This is the one that has the word family in it that we discussed. This is the main substantive change, it looks like. And I believe the way we discussed it was we ended with, we are all okay with referring to that word, but putting in a box of what that word means. Is that correct, Chad? Is that how we ended it?
Yeah, so the current, I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately, but the current language talks about kinship, and
Right.
it was really bad, really bad. And
We're eliminating all of that, and we are going with a very general description of a family, which is people who share a household, basically.
Single
That's-
house unit.
that's correct. It's
Okay.
very, very simple and streamlined. If I recall from last week, we weren't like over glorified with it, but it was way better than the.
I think what we all agreed, we needed to get the other stuff off the books, and this is the only way to do it. And if it seemed that people were upset by this, we could have another article next year changing it to household or something similar. But for now, this is the best way to go about it in the short term.
Yeah, correct. And this was one of the recommendations from the E-code, the professionals, and so it's used here in Massachusetts at other communities.
Right.
So, they fully vetted it. And yeah, the discussion last week was we weren't super happy with it, but way better than the current language.
Correct. Okay, so all in favor, I'm sorry, never mind, excuse that.
I apologize.
Forget I said that. Article, if I could have a motion to approve Article 22 as written.
Can I ask a quick question of Chad?
Oh, yes.
So I think last week, Chad, the planning board hadn't voted on this, or is this the language in front of us that the planning board voted on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sample 2. So on the markups.
Yep.
Sample 2, any number of individual residing together on the premise as a single housekeeping unit.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
They have they have a public hearing on this on April 27th to, as required by state law.
Okay.
So it might change.
Yes,
It has
Blythe
the
is correct.
possibility.
I misspoke. Yes, we have our public hearing scheduled for the end of the month, but we did talk about it briefly at our meeting last night.
And this is what the planning board has put out to the public hearing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I can have a motion on Article 2 to approve Article 2 as written.
22. I moved to.
I did say 2. Sorry. I'm getting tired, guys.
I moved to accept Article 22 as written.
Article 22. Good Lord.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski,
Aye.
Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Who am I missing? Oh my
Michael
God.
Huff
Michael
says
Huff.
aye.
Thank you. Michael Huff. I wasn't on my screen. Michael Huff.
Sorry.
Thank you. And Susan Klein. Aye. Sorry, when I'm not looking, it's like I have a total brain moment. Okay, who's going to write Article 22?
Happy to.
Oh,
Somebody.
Rob, if you feel special about it, you could take it.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, so Mike.
Off on Article 22.
All right, Mike is writing Article 22. Okay, Article 23. Oh my goodness. This is the 2 properties on Lawrence Street as part of the process to obtain a sidewalk right of way through easements to be taken by eminent domain. The comprehensive permit for Waits Crossing subdivision on Lawrence Street requires the installation of sidewalks from the bridge to the subdivision for which an expanded right of way is required. So this is,
I move to accept Article 23 as written.
thank you, Brian.
The thing I don't understand is why are we paying for this? Why isn't the developer paying for this?
I can answer. I think the developer had already agreed to pay, I think, $10,000 towards the design of the sidewalk and to put the sidewalk in. And I don't think it was I don't believe it was known that we didn't have enough right of way before that process started and the ZBA approved the comprehensive permit. So we need to, and one of the property owners has indicated that they will seek damages for the property that we take. So we need to have an appraisal done to determine what that is.
Yeah, Rob, that was my question as well. And if I remember, the answer was something like they didn't build the road where they should. So we have to take land that wasn't as part of the plan. And because of that, we have to use eminent domain and take it.
A little maddening because it is a comp permit. So,
Yeah.
you know, it all should have been wrapped up.
Agreed.
Yeah, this was done by the ZBA year or two ago, before the present board.
Yeah.
I can't answer why they didn't know that, but here we are. And it will
And-
hold up the project, you know, because we can't get the sidewalk done until we go through this process.
And I think the other issue is now that people have moved in, the developer has sold it. Now it's another person. If there wasn't someone living there, the developer would just give that little bit of land and no one would care. But because someone's living there, it matters.
Wait a minute. So we're taking land from someone who's part of the development? It's not.
No, it's a property owner on, a
Oh,
property
okay, all
owner
right.
on Lawrence Street.
All right.
Yeah, the property owners. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
between.
previous
the
property
bridge
owners who
and
have
the
bought
new
the
development.
property, not property owners who live on the property.
Oh, okay.
So my point is,
Yeah.
butters I have some sympathy for. If you bought a house in a development and they need a right of way over your property,
Right.
that's not our problem because we don't even own the land yet. We don't own the right of way yet. But if it's an abutter who has property fronting Lawrence Street, I'm much more comfortable with that, but it's not inside the development, it's outside the development.
I had that wrong in my head then when that was explained. I had that other issue in mind.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Article, if I could have a motion for Article 23, please. Motion to approve Article 23, please.
I think I made a motion, but I can remake the same
Oh,
motion.
I'm
Second.
sorry. Thank you. Seconded by David. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Ryan Beachkowski,
Yes.
Jackie Katz,
Yes.
and Susan Klein, yes. Okay, Article 24.
Who's writing
Here's your
that one?
pools. Here's your
Oh,
pools,
sorry.
Susan.
Yeah, who's writing Article 23? Jackie, do you want to take that one since it's fairly simple?
Yeah, I can take that one, but I guess I never written one where like we didn't really have like a debate on it. Do I just write that we unanimously approved for the ones that were?
Yep,
Okay.
just give a little brief explanation of what it is, and then just say that the board unanimously approved it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Jackie's going to write Article 23. Article 24.
Susan, I don't know if the appropriate order of this, but I need to take a quick bio break.
Oh, okay.
An hour and a half. Can we? Would you permit a quick bio break? I want to miss the action.
I'm assuming you mean you need to use the restroom.
I do.
Okay, go ahead. If it's okay with you, we're not going to vote on anything, but I'm going to go ahead and read what Article 24 is about, and then we'll discuss it when you get back.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Article 24 is the zoning bylaw change for accessory buildings. And I think it's just for accessory buildings. No? Yes? Okay. Accessory buildings and swimming pools, which is no accessory building shall be closer to any principal building or any lot line than a distance equal to the height of such an accessory building, and in no event in a front yard setback. So that looks like that's the only substantive, the big change for Article 24. So this is the one where no accessory buildings or pools can be in the front yard. And an accessory building cannot be closer to a principal building or the lot line than the distance that it is tall. So if it's 34 feet tall, it can't be closer to a building or a lot line than 34 feet, roughly.
And that's always been the rule.
Then what are we changing?
So we're clarifying what a front yard setback is.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's right. This is the one where it dictates that even if it's considered your side yard, if it's in the front, it's considered a front setback, which, there are a ton, just since we have a few minutes while Mike is gone, there are a ton of houses. I know this because I own one of them where the accessory building is in the front yard. I just bought a house on Boardman Street and the barn is in the front yard. And it's also on the lot line, directly on the lot line to the neighbors. So there's nothing nothing that can be done or touched on that building without a special permit because it's on the lot line and it's in the front yard.
So Susan, I live on Boardman too, and I went down the street the other day counting all the violations.
Oh yes, well you counted my house then. It's under construction right now. It's the one with all the construction in the front yard, but it's set really far back, so you probably don't see it. But it's the one with the excavation and stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the house right across the street from me, their garage is in the 50-foot setback.
Yep.
And
so,
yet the Republic sustains.
Yep. And there's also one on Medway Street that is like that I also looked at buying. I only know this because I was looking at farmhouses for like 2 years until I finally found one. But
you're right by one of the 90-degree turns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm like 4 houses from Freeman. Yeah. Across from the big red one. Yeah. It's set really far back so you don't even see the house, but the barn is in the front yard.
That house was just built and you're redoing it? It was built like 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it was built in 06, but hi, I'm Susan Klein. Nice to meet you. I change everything. I like to build and remodel houses, but no, I bought it for the land and had 10 acres, but it was too small for, I have 700 children in case no one ever told you that. Or at least it feels like I do. So it needed to be larger.
Robert.
But there's also one on Seekonk that I've looked, the little wood farm on Seekonk is the same way. The barn is in the front yard.
There's a swimming pool in front yard in Seekonk.
Yeah. So the point is there's a lot of houses that are in violation. It just means they won't be able to change them unless they get go before zoning, I guess, or planning one of the boards and get a variance. So anyway, okay. So if there's no discussion on this, I will take a motion for Article 24. Somebody?
By the way,
Anybody?
I'm going to be voting present because I don't believe in the underlying bylaw. I refuse to participate in making it, more legal. Period.
I thought you were no rules applied at all, dude. This helps.
I'm against this bylaw that says you can't put your shed in your side yard if you're on a corner. I think this bylaw is overly restrictive and has nothing to do with.
I think this makes it easier to put your shed in the side, but
No. I agree with Rob on this. This makes it much, much harder. Now, so for example.
But I thought we were taking care of some of the grandfathered, some of the ones that were non-conforming.
Well, you don't have to take them down, but you can't, so for example, if I want to touch, I asked, if I want to do anything more than paint the outside of the existing barn, and I want to change the siding on it, for example, it's got vinyl siding. I want to change it to be more of a barn structure. And I want to fix some things on the inside. I have to get a variance. I can't just do that. I have to get a building permit and a variance because it is on the property line and it's in the front yard. So it's a lot more work if it's an existing building, but if it's not existing now, if you don't have one, you cannot put one in, is what this law says.
Chad's hand is up. He probably wants to tell me I'm completely wrong.
Maybe we are. Right. That would be fantastic. Go ahead, Chad.
I wouldn't say that you're completely wrong. And this is kind of a strange one. The building commissioner came to us. He said he's having there's just a lot of concerns and issues with the accessory buildings going on in the front yard. And so the consensus was if you add the word setback, that helps clarify things and gives him the opportunity to basically say, look, as long as you can have a structure or a pool or whatever in your front yard, as long as it's not in that setback, the 50-foot setback, which does also include the corner lots, which is a shame, but that's just because the corner lot has frontage on both sides. Susan's right. Any existing structure that's in violation is grandfathered in. So all the violations we have out there, they're all grandfathered in. So, but yeah, the only thing we're changing on this article is that one word setback.
So that raised a question in my head. If I'm on a corner lot and I have a full privacy fence around my boundary, I can't put a shed inside a privacy fence if it's within 50 feet of the road?
Yes,
Correct.
true.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And zoning bylaw by state law is supposed to regulate health, safety, and general welfare, or something like that. This has nothing to do with any of that. This is, I don't want to see your shed near the yard, near the road. So I will be my libertarian crazy person self, and yeah, I'll vote no on this. So
You said present, now you're voting no.
I'm
Good for
voting
you,
no
Rob.
now.
Do it.
Okay, well then I will take a motion on, I forgot what article we were on, sorry.
24.
Article 24. Okay, if no one wants to make a motion on this, then we
I will
can,
make a
vote.
motion on Article 24 to vote.
well,
on.
you can choose to make the motion to vote no. You can make the motion, I believe you can make the motion to IP it, and you can also make the motion to not approve it. We don't have to make a motion to approve. So but if someone wants to make the motion to approve, then we can vote.
This came up at town meeting either in the spring or last fall, correct, Blythe?
I believe,
What happened then?
I think we all felt it needed more discussion and it got passed
I don't
over.
think it's gotten that discussion. I move to indefinitely postpone Article 24.
Second.
okay, there we go. Now we're making some headway. All right. David Lutz, you are voting
To
yes
indefinitely
to
postpone
IP
Article
it,
24.
or you are
Aye.
voting, I know, but I want to explain to everybody.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
either voting yes to IP it, or you are voting no to IP it. If you vote no to IP it and the majority does that, then we will have to make a motion to approve it, just to be clear. So David Lutz, you are voting yes to IP Article 24. Rob Garrity, how are you voting?
Yes.
Yes to IP it. Brian Bichkowski, how are you voting?
Aye.
Aye to IP it. Michael Huff.
No.
Okay, he is voting no to IP it. Jackie Katz.
No.
No to IP it. Susan Klein, I vote yes to IP it because I also have a building in my front yard and I think this is ridiculous. So it passes to, the majority have voted to IP this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 voted to IP, 2 voted not to IP it. So I just want to make sure the wording on this is correct in the minutes, Erica. The advisory board has voted in a split decision of 4-2 to indefinitely postpone Article 24. Rob Garrity, since it is in favor of what you support, would you mind writing up the recommendation?
I will, and I'll do it quickly so I can circulate it so people will be comfortable with it.
Okay, great.
Oh, Rob, I'm looking forward to this.
All right, Article 25. This deals with the parking area. Sorry about misspeaking earlier. This one deals with the parking area for the airport and Stony Brook and
No, this is just general parking areas
The
and being
next
able
one is the parking
able
area.
to apply for a special permit.
but this is just so that we're clear when I'm describing it, this is the one that affected the airport in Stony Brook, correct? Chad, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what? Article 25.
25.
This is the change to the parking for the parking areas. Because so our parking bylaw states that it all has to be paved. And we have some outdoor recreational conservation facilities such as Pond Street that, and then there's others. There's this Stony Brook and then that airport and then there's other things where there's certain trailheads. Well, this came up when there was a trailhead that wanted to have a few parking spots there and they did not want to pave it. They're like, well, this kind of goes against the grain here. We're trying to be one with nature but also provide some parking, but why would we pave parking spots here and create a pervious structure? So that's why this language came up to remove the paved part, so you could have a instead of an impervious, you now have a pervious parking spot for drainage. That makes sense? Did I butcher it?
So yes allows you to have unpaved parking for these recreation activities.
Correct. So yes, you would be allowed then to create a gravel parking spot, or I mean, I've seen other type of parking as well where you can get there's like these hollow mats that you can put down. There's also like a honeycomb looking concrete structure that you put down and then you fill that with gravel. So there's other alternatives, but it's not a completely impervious concrete pad. And when you just have a couple parking spots at, say, a trailhead, do you really want to go through that whole expense? And it's also kind of just contradictory to nature to have this paved parking spot sitting there.
Yeah, Susan, the one you're thinking of is 26, the nature center one.
But no, but this plays into it a little bit, I think.
This is absolutely right. This is related to it.
And I will make a motion to accept Article 25 and we can continue discussing it, but I think we should adopt this, so.
I'll second it.
Okay. Sorry. My Wi-Fi went out for a second. Did someone second it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. So we're voting to approve Article 25. Lutz
Yes.
and Rob Garrity,
Yes.
Brian Beachkowski,
Yes.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
Jackie Katz.
Yes.
Susan Klein, yes. Okay. Would you mind doing me a favor? I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to stay on the call. I'm going to vote and I'm going to keep my camera on, but I am going to be driving for a moment. So Blythe, would you mind just reading and giving the explanation of the next few articles, and
Sure.
I will handle the voting, but
Sure.
I can't read and drive at the same time. So
Sounds like a plan.
thank you.
Just asking who's going to write this one up so I can, Eric and I.
I'll write it up if no one else does.
Thank you, David.
Article 26 is the one that affects nature center. It adds a definition to our bylaws for a nature center and amends the table in the bylaw for it. It's gotten the most conversation because it does affect the airport property and does not affect Stony Brook in ways that people had previously thought.
Great. That was
I'll rely on
that
Chad
was
for
the
more
conversation.
detail than that.
That was the conversation that we had last week. We wanted to just make sure that people's concerns about Stony Brook, how it was going to be negatively impacted, that the planning board had fixed those. And I believe Chad told us that the couple of small things that were going to negatively affect Stony Brook, they altered or changed the language so that it did not. Correct?
That is correct. Yes, we did have a a great discussion with the airport people and Stony Brook, and they are both, and they're collaborating very well. And we modified this whole article, well, not the whole article, we modified a few portions of it to make it so that it did not negatively impact Stony Brook.
Right.
So you are 100% correct. We've modified that and everybody's happy and working together.
All right, so if there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion for Article 26.
I move to adopt Article 26 as written.
I second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity, Brian Bichkowski.
I'm gonna abstain just because I missed all of last week's discussion and I don't feel.
Okay, great, thank you. Michael Huff,
Yes.
Jackie Katz,
Yes.
Susan Klein, yes. Okay, who wants to write up Article 26?
I can do that too, Susan.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. It's not a difficult one, but it is a little detailed. So if you have any questions, just reach out to Chad and he'll answer them for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Article 27, Blythe.
That's the annual article to authorize the board to allocate Chapter 90 funds that we receive from the state.
Okay,
I move to
anyone have
adopt
any discussion?
Article 27 as written.
Second.
okay. We are voting to approve Article 27, which is the Chapter 90 funds, state funds. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski.
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Article 27 passes. Somebody want to write up the Chapter 90 state money article for me?
I can do it.
Thank you, Brian.
Article 28 allows the select board to accept any monies received through grants to the town. It's an
Okay.
annual article that we do.
Right, this is the boilerplate article. So make a motion.
I'll move to adopt Article 28 as written.
Okay, Rob Garrity.
I don't think we got a
Oh, sorry.
We do.
Somebody needs to second it. I apologize. Somebody needs to second it.
I'll second.
Thank you. Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Yes. I mean, you just vote. I'm just asking for your vote.
Yes.
Okay. David Lutz,
Yes.
Jackie Katz,
Yes.
Brian Bichkowski,
Yes.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
and Susan Klein, yes. Okay. Article, who wants to write this one?
I can write that up. I think 27, 28, 29 will be pretty quick in succession, so I'll just stay up there.
Okay, great. Then what's next, Blythe? Article 29?
Article 29 is to authorize the select board to sell any surplus property with the exception of buildings and land. It's the
Okay.
annual article.
All right, a motion, please.
Can I ask a quick question, Blythe?
Mhm.
Just a really quick question. What do we usually sell? And do you have any sense of what gets sold? I know it's
Oh,
like,
sure.
desks
So
and computers and
vehicles that
crap
we
like that.
are, used to beyond their useful life and are ready to get rid of. We use a online auction company and sell trucks and I think, and miscellaneous furniture if no other department wants it, that sort of thing.
okay,
Pretty minimal stuff.
that's what I figured. I just don't think I've ever asked that question. Thank you.
Okay,
Motion to adopt Article 29.
Second.
thank you. Jackie Katz,
Yes.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
Brian Bichkowski,
Yep.
Rob Garrity,
Yes.
David Lutz,
Yes.
and Susan Klein, yes. And Brian, you're going to take Article that one as well?
Very well.
Okay.
The next two articles get into back to talking about the wastewater treatment enterprise fund. Article 30 is to cover the budget shortfall we have this year with a combination of some of the retained earnings of the fund and the balance from free cash. And we will have to get back to you right at town meeting as to where we stand on that.
Okay, so do we?
Talked about it last. One of the smaller condo association, Meeting House Commons, has made another partial payment of about $4,500. And they have been indicated they will continue to make payments. The two entities that are not the condos have not paid anything, and we're working to set up a meeting with our attorney and theirs to try to work through that. But don't know if we'll be fruitful before town meeting.
Okay, so do we want to not make a recommendation and not vote on this article, or do we want to vote on it with the information that we have today?
Whatever it is, I mean, unless it gets crazy, we're gonna accept it. So I say vote on it.
Oh,
Okay.
can I ask what the amount is now, Blythe, that we'd be voting to pay for out of free cash, I'm assuming, or?
I'm gonna ask Todd if he can jump in on that because I don't have that right in front of me.
I think that was her asking Todd.
Yeah. Todd, are you able to jump in on that, sir?
He might have stepped away, maybe.
He went off mute, so I think he's probably looking it up, as I would be.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
30,000.
And this would be coming from free cash or somewhere else?
From your back pocket,
I don't have that much in my back
free
pocket.
cash.
Okay. All right, so then I'll take a motion to approve Article 30.
I move to approve Article 30.
Second.
Okay. Rob Garrity,
Aye.
David Lutz,
Aye.
Brian Beachkowski,
Aye.
Michael Huff,
Aye.
Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Susan Klein, aye. Okay. Blythe, Article 31.
Just wondered who wants to write this up.
Oh, sorry. Whoever does this one should probably do both of them. It should probably be someone who's familiar or at least has an understanding of the issues with the wastewater treatment plant.
And I know that Todd and I would both be happy to work with whomever that is, just because this is a touchy subject. I want to make sure that we're.
I do know that this is one that Jonathan Hurwitz would normally say he would want, but with his family stuff, that his father is unwell and he's taking care of him right now. So I am hesitant to assign him anything simply because he may not even be able to attend town meeting. So someone else is going to end up having to read it if that's the case. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like for somebody else to take it. And if Jonathan gets in touch with me and lets me know that he's okay to come back and he's okay to do that, because he was present for this discussion. So, but if somebody else could take it tentatively, that would be great. And I am sorry about the slim board, and I'm sorry about the large warrant and everyone having to write so many recommendations. Hopefully we will have more members next fall.
I mean, I'll take it. I have a
If you could take them, but I will reach out to Jonathan and find out if he's going to be available for town meeting. And if he is, I'll do it in the next day or so. And if he is, I will have him take 30 and 31 off your plate. But if he's not, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So Article 31, hopefully this will be good news, though I would like the board to act on it tonight. The good news is that we have identified that the town in 2010 did pass an article to put together a downtown sewer district. But it never got introduced to the legislature and so was never passed by them as required. Our present town council has looked at that 2010 article and the special act language and finds it still on point with what we need. And we have also just recently located the map that goes with it. If he finds that the map is still viable as well, then we may be able to IP this at town meeting because we understand that that version that was passed can just be, was approved by the town in 2010, can be introduced by the legislature now. We don't need to re-vote it or anything like that. So I would like you, I respectfully would ask if you can, take action to approve this or not as it is. And, if we get to town meeting, we can IP it, we certainly will. And we will, of course, produce, if we can't, then we will, we'll let you know.
Like,
Yeah.
the decision on that ultimately is going to be made by House Counsel and the governor's legal office. Could you ask Representative Dooley to ask House Counsel if they'll accept a 12-year-old vote?
Already did, and they said yes.
They said yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've been back and forth with Nick Tagg from Rep. Dooley's office to say, can we do this at this point, or do you need some other action by us? And he said, yeah, we can do it. So I'm just waiting for town council to give us a thumbs up on that map from 2010. And then we could, move ahead, which would be wonderful.
Okay.
So is the language for Article 31 going to change? Because the way I read the article, Rob, is it authorizes it now, not reauthorizing an old vote.
We won't need to authorize it at all. We
I
could
think
go.
well, I'm kind of with Rob. I think we should, but that's just me. So
No, I think what she's saying is vote now to authorize it, but if they find that the one from 2010 is still valid, then we just IP this one because that one's already in effect.
why don't we just do it? Whatever. Okay. Whatever.
Okay. All right, so if I could have a motion to approve Article 31.
I move to approve Article 31.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity.
Aye.
Ryan Bichkowski.
Aye.
Michael Huff.
Aye.
Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Susan Klein. Aye. Okay.
So, and just Blythe, going back to our conversation, so you think in the write-up, we should not be mentioning the deadbeats specifically?
Oh, I
Which-
think we can work through that.
Oh,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
wrote this up, I would be prominently featuring the deadbeats.
Oh, I would 100%. I would be like, want to make it very clear that the taxpayers are now having to foot the bill for this
Street
because
addresses and phone numbers.
millionaires and corporations and developers are not paying their share. 100% I would call them out. But
That
So
was
you gonna
my-
write this up, Mike? I can
Yes.
probably provide the phone numbers if you'd like, so.
Phone numbers.
thank you, Michael. All right. Blythe, I'm sorry, remind me, do we have an Article 32?
We have two more articles. Article 32 is to rescind just over $1.2 million in excess borrowing that had been authorized 2 years ago for the replacement of the All-Day School roof. We didn't need to borrow all of what we were authorized to, so we want to rescind what we don't need.
Blythe, can I interrupt really quickly? I see Cindy from CPC has been able to hop on, like we asked her to a little while ago, so it probably makes sense to back up to that while she's available.
Sure.
Okay, that was Article
16, I think.
16.
Okay, sorry, I was just sending an email saying I'm on.
Cindy,
Okay.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, so.
Hold
you
on,
need to-
hold on, Bryce,
Yeah,
would you just
sorry.
give a quick recap of what article, the number and what we're discussing? So just for the record, I know we all know, but it has to be said for the record.
So you're going back to the CPC article, that would be number 16, which is to spend $5,000 from the open space reserve to survey and map Norfolk lakes and ponds.
Yeah, so fill me in on any questions, please.
David specifically had a couple of questions, so we'll let him go first.
Okay, sure enough.
Cindy, the ponds that are listed, I was on the Conservation Commission and the CPC for a while, and Bush Pond was a specific topic of conversation. The town doesn't own any portion of Bush Pond, do they?
So I'm just gonna like say that I'm coming on here not prepared with anything. I believe a portion of it on the, oh gosh, I don't know my directions. The non-Buckley and Man side is town owned.
Below Lawrence Street?
On the
More
Rentham side of Lawrence Street,
heading towards,
heading towards Rentham.
right.
Okay.
And what about Comey's Pond?
Comey's Pond is absolutely Norfolk.
And Populatic Pond?
Populatic is ownership unknown. And so what we had decided to do, we're not sure if that's state or Norfolk. So what we decided to do is just budget for it, and then as we move forward to try to figure out who the ownership is, because Populatic is part of the Charles River. You know, it comes in and it forms Populatic and then it goes out. So the initial assessment, they weren't 100% sure who the ownership was. But that being said, before any actual surveys were done, that would be ascertained and confirmed.
What about Kingsbury Pond?
Kingsbury Pond is 100% Norfolk.
100% Norfolk?
Yep.
How many, I
Hold on, I'm
raised this
just gonna-
question at the Springtown meeting relative to Mirror Lake. I'm just curious about a butters participation and stuff.
Yeah, hang up one
You
second.
butters?
I'm just going to turn up my volume a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, so please repeat.
So I've raised concerns about this as it relates to Mirror Lake in the Springtown meeting, and I'm just concerned that the beneficiaries of this, Bush Pond doesn't have any direct abutters, but the beneficiaries of a lot of this work are the direct abutters, not the general residents of the town.
Well, actually,
Frankly, similar to Highland Lake. And I'm concerned about this being a giant slippery slope on the CPC being put on the hook for general treatment of town partially owned or wholly owned or minimally owned ponds.
okay,
And I'm just saying that, so.
understood. So Highland Lake going back, all of the property surrounding it. I mean, there's the whole Fales Park and Highland Lake Park. And yeah, there are direct abutters to it that also benefit, but the town-owned land also benefits.
I agree.
Bush Pond, if you go over Lawrence Street, a lot of people stop there, they fish, they look, they take pictures, they look at the swans. So the side, like I said, toward Rentham, to the best of my knowledge, is Norfolk owned. I don't actually know. I mean, I think, so like I said, I'm totally unprepared for this. I just popped on. There's a lot of lily pads on there in the season. There's a lot of eutrophication that I don't think needs to be addressed or should be addressed, because it's just a natural phenomenon of ponds that are not deep. So Bush Pond, yeah, there's a part of it that is Norfolk. And I don't really think that the direct abutters who are up on, I can't think of the name of the street, they're very up high. It's really only going to be the people who stop along Lawrence Street there. Kingsbury, yes, it is all direct abutters. However, that is a great pond. And it is, to the best of my knowledge, the only great pond in Norfolk, and there is somewhere public access. But, and like I said, Populatic, that still needs to be determined a little bit as to who owns it. And if it is the state, we would not be providing the funding for that. So what I was going to say was, to a certain extent, all of the ponds are interrelated in that you have geese, you have ducks, you have swans, and they're all going back and forth and spreading things. And that's a little bit of the argument about treating them. However, this is just, this money is just for the survey, the identification of the weeds that are in there. And then also we would be providing the identification of where the ownership is. So that if the ownership is not in Norfolk, we would take it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just really the initial little thing. It's not the whole treatment program.
All
So I
right.
don't know. Does that help?
It helps. Thank you.
Okay.
David, does that answer your concerns about?
It answers my questions. Doesn't answer
paying?
it answers my questions, but not necessarily my concerns would be a
Okay.
better way of phrasing that answer. So,
Okay. Do you have, is there a way that we can discuss your concerns further, or you think that? this is the
I think
answer?
I know where I am on this, and I would defer to the committee. So,
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Cindy before we move on?
So I think the only question I had is if the town wants to have at town meeting a discussion around should the CPC funding go towards maintaining ponds or doing other preservation of open spaces or the like, I'm trying to find where the accountability is to the town for the CPC because they're appointed, and it seems like it would be through this budget approval process. Is that right? Or are there other ways, like, I guess, other than just going to CPC meetings and having that, like, where should that debate happen in town about what should we do with our open space money?
Cindy can speak to this, obviously, but it happens at town meeting because the CPC has to seek approval for expenditures.
Right.
The simple budget ones that we do every year, and then any other expenditure towards a specific project comes through town meeting. So it is at town meeting. And we are that first sort of line of discussion on that.
Right.
And Cindy, I apologize for being the person who dragged you out of whatever enjoyment you were having on Wednesday evening. Hopefully you don't watch Survivor like my wife is right now.
No, my socks.
Woo socks.
Yeah. So I'm fine. I was like, oh, I'm done with the woo socks. I'm gonna come check my emails.
So anyways, I just, Brian, it does happen at this level, and it happens at the CPC level too. And I don't attend those meetings even online. So I wasn't around when this was debated at the CPC level, but I do have concerns about this from a macro level, and as I've used the phrase a couple times, the slippery slope of where we're going to end up with the CPC being expected to provide some sort of support for this kind of stuff, because it hasn't happened. Highland Lake happened. It's happened a couple times over the last 10 years, 7, 8, 10 years, Cindy.
No, not even that.
And then the Mirror Lake one that came up last time was
Last
the second
time, yeah.
one. And I'm just concerned that.
Okay, so let me see if I can qualify that a little bit. Highland Lake came up because the residents had started taking care of the lake themselves with regard to the weeds. And
Cindy, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd love to hear your answer to my question, actually, rather than you answer Dave's question.
Right.
Which is if the CPC is making a decision at some point around how do we allocate money between open space management on the land and in our ponds, where is the right place for people to engage? Should they come to the CPC meetings and have that discussion there? Should they wait until there's a budget action? Like, how do we make sure that you are informed as a body of the direction the town wants to go and can act in a way that's aligned with them?
okay. Yeah, thank you. I didn't really understand the question the first time. Obviously, all of our meetings are posted. We already had a public hearing for the $5,000 allocation for the study. And we had other, obviously, publicly posted meetings they were all Zoom meetings except for the last one with regard to the pond treatment. So anyone who was interested in any kind of input as to the ponds was obviously welcome to join via our, town meeting postings, because everything's there. And secondly, at town meeting, if this comes up as a warrant article, which it is at this point, but whether or not advisory board approves or not, it's up for discussion there and up for explanation on our part. And the Conservation Commission is actually the one that is behind this. It's not something that we started because CPC takes, direction from the boards that we represent to a certain extent, recreation, open space, conservation, et cetera, planning board, et cetera. So the public forum is there in multiple formats for expression, and we often have residents who just weigh in on the ideas that are floated before us, whether they're floated from a resident or floated from another board.
Super
Does
helpful.
that help?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was hoping
Okay.
to hear. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're not acting in secret or anything like that. I mean, the thing is, I'm not sure if you know, but we're not a line item on the town budget. We're our own budget, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to be approved. Everything has to go before town meeting. And, and is subject to debate and discussion and, all the other stuff. And we've gotten voted down and we've gotten approved in various things. But back to Dave's point, as far as the lake treatment, I understand what you're saying about the slippery slope. This particular article came from conservation, and we can only use our funds for restoration. So if a pond used to be usable as a boating pond, a swimming pond, whatever, and then over the years it's gotten grown in, we can use our money to restore it, i.e. put it back to the state it was before. However, we cannot use it to maintain. So once it's restored and the weeds are removed, that's it for us. We can't go on years and years and years and years and years and continue to treat a pond. And also, if, like I mentioned about Bush Pond, if it's a natural process where the pond is just filling in because it is shallow and it's not going to be swimmable, boatable, fishable again, then it may not be something that can be restored. I don't know if that helps, but it's a thing that still needs to have an assessment done first. And then the second step would be if the assessment says, yes, we can restore this for the use of the town, then we can do that, but we cannot do the maintenance. So it's not something that can continue on forever and ever and ever. Okay, I've said enough.
I think that's good to hear that it can only be used for restoration and not for ongoing maintenance.
Exactly.
I do think that some of the concerns were if the ponds are not open or publicly used and they're only being used by the residents, the people who own the homes around them and own the land around them, then shouldn't their sort of pond association be paying for this versus all of the residents of Norfolk being paying for it?
Right. All of the ponds that we have listed are available to all residents. There is, for example, there is one pond, Callahan's Pond, which to the best of my knowledge is not available to all residents. And so that is not something we would consider. This man's pond, which is owned by a private family. There are the ponds off of Main Street, which are privately owned. That is not something we would ever consider. So all of the ponds that we have considered, Comey's Pond is right off of Main Street. Anybody can pull in there and use it. Same with Highland Lake, which was a past one. Same with Mirror Lake, which has public beach access. Same with Populatic, which has public beach access. Bush Pond, again, everybody can get in there off the bridge. So all of the ponds that we have mentioned have public access. They're not just ringed by private homes.
Okay.
I understand that concern.
Okay, David, does that help at all? I know it doesn't really change your point of view. I just want to make sure that
No,
the question was
I
as
have a better
answered as
understanding.
well as possible.
I appreciate Cindy's explanation of where it came from and how they got there, and that answers a lot of my questions. Thanks.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much, Cindy, for joining us at this late moment. I appreciate it.
And totally unprepared.
That's okay. That's okay. We just wanted, I think the biggest question was making sure that these ponds at a bare minimum, if we're helping to restore, that they are open to the public. I think that was the biggest concern.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the biggest concern. That was one of the concerns. So
no, but that's absolutely true. They're all open to the public.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Okay, thank you.
All right. While we're still fresh on it, if there's any further discussion, if not, I'll take a motion on Article 16.
I move to approve Article 16 as written in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski.
Yep.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
Jackie Katz. Okay, I'll skip Jackie for now. David Lutz.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry. David Lutz.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. And Jackie Katz.
Yes.
Okay, Susan Klein, yes. Article 16 is approved, and I need someone to write up Article 16.
I can do 16, Susan, it's Jackie.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it. All right. Moving back to Article, I believe we were on, gosh, 31, maybe, Blythe?
32.
32. Okay,
Which is the rescinding of debt that we had authorized for HL Day School Roof.
Okay.
This doesn't impact the 69 grand or whatever it is we're gonna use for, okay,
No, this is money we didn't actually need to borrow.
okay. So we borrowed the 69, it's been sitting around or whatever number it is. Okay,
79, yes.
79.
Was this under, is this under the levy limit kind of borrowing and it's just free up levy limit borrowing?
No.
Yeah.
Is this levy limit?
Yeah, Article 9 would have been debt. It wasn't a debt exclusion because we didn't have a vote, but it was levy limit, yeah.
Huh.
So it simply
We
frees
had
it
to
up.
block this, Rob, because we were gonna borrow it, so.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it
this
was,
will make-
it was a recommendation of our auditors as part of our audit this year to clean
No,
that
it's
up.
a good, yeah, it's a good, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Article 32, please. As written.
I think Mike seconded.
I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear him.
Sorry.
Okay. So we're gonna vote to approve Article 32. David Lutz,
Aye.
Rob Garrity,
Aye.
Jackie Katz. Jackie Katz,
Aye.
Brian Bichkowski,
Yep.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
and Susan Klein, yes.
I'll write it up if no one else wants to.
Great, thank you, Dave.
Article 33 is about a change to the bylaw, general bylaw regarding the CPC. Because the town has had to re-precinct this year with a fourth one, we should have the bylaw show that there should be one member from all 4 precincts rather than all 3. So that's as complicated as I can make it.
Okay,
To the real question, am I in the same precinct I was last spring? Just kidding.
Oh, I have no idea.
Hey,
Yeah,
do you
the
want to
Carol
join
Council.
us?
you're adding, just to be clear, so anyone who's watching this who didn't hear our previous discussion, we were 3 precincts in Norfolk and you're adding a 4th, correct?
Have added, yes.
Yes, have added a 4th.
Converting the at-large appointee to a precinct-based appointee.
Okay, so if no one has any discussion, I will take a motion on this, I believe, Article 32.
Can I raise a hand? Which,
Yes, of course.
okay, thank you. I'm like, where's my raised hand? Yes, I spoke to Carol Green about this. And previously we had been 4 precincts and we went to 3, so we did a 3 and at large. And now we realize we're going back to 4, so I had mentioned it to Carol. So I didn't actually realize that it was going to a town meeting warrant. But yes, the CPC realizes that we're going to have to change our membership. So obviously, yes, we would be in favor of this.
Great, thank you.
I move that we approve the warrant article as written, number 33.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. David Lutz,
Aye.
Jackie Katz. Okay, I'll give her a second. Brian Bichkowski,
Yes.
Michael Huff,
Yes.
Rob Garrity.
Yes.
Okay, and Jackie Katz.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that was Article 32. So now we have Article 33 is the last one.
You just did. That was the last one.
It wasn't awesome.
Thank you. Okay, Article 33 was the last one. Fantastic. All right, who's going to write up Article 33 then? This is an easy one.
I can do it if no one else will.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian. All right. Whew, 33 articles, all voted on in 2.5 hours. Not bad. Not bad. All right, so if it-
Just as it'd be helpful for me just to get a rundown of who's doing which write-up.
yes.
Yep, I'll send that out.
Okay. Do you need
And
it
if
now,
anybody-
Mike, or do you need it now, Mike, or is it an email? Okay.
Email's fine.
Okay, great.
If anyone has any questions or needs any follow-up with Todd or I, or, planning department, please let us know. We're more than happy to help.
Yep.
Blythe, I'm gonna hit you up for 30, help on 31.
We welcome that.
Okay, and just a reminder, if you're writing up on the budget, you're doing the recommendation for the budget, make sure you mention in your write-up the overall number of the budget and, 1 to 3 of the big points of the budget, whether you want to focus on, the school piece of it, or you want to focus on the union changes, the salary changes with the unionized departments, or whatever, however you choose to do it. Just make sure you put a few points in there, because sometimes people only read the recommendation and don't actually read anything else. And then whoever's in doing the zoning, both the general zoning and the zoning board bylaw changes, I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied, I apologize. For the people who are doing the general bylaw changes and the zoning bylaw changes, please reach out to Blythe and Chad Peck with the planning board for any questions or clarifications when you're doing your write-ups. And then, of course, if you're doing the write-ups for anything with the CPC, you can reach out to Cindy Ledoux. So I think it was Cindy. No, what is Cindy's last name? I'm sorry.
Andrade.
Thank you. And Erica should have all of those emails and contact information if you don't have it. And she'll also send out a reminder of who's writing up what. Mike, I will speak to Jonathan and get back to you if he wants to take those. My guess is he's going to say no. I know he has a lot going on right now with his father, so I'm going to assume he's going to say no. But
if he's moved to do it, great. And if not, I'm absolutely fine to do it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And again, I do want to apologize for the heaviness of everyone having to pick up extra warrant articles this year. But with Kiara out on maternity leave and Jamil leaving mid-year and Jonathan's issues with his family, his parents, we're just really short on people. So hopefully it won't be that way next year. And I am so happy that we got this done tonight. Erica, could you please let us know, if we back it up by a few days, what is now the drop dead date that you want all recommendations to you, so that you have a couple of days to proof them before sending them to the printer?
Yes, let me touch base with him again tomorrow and see what he has to say. I just know he said he was concerned that it was a very quick turnaround, which it is. And I think I can get it done pretty quickly as long as I have everything. And I understand it takes you guys some time to write these things up too. So the sooner the better. But let me touch base with him tomorrow, and then I'll let you know what he has to say about the latest he would like to receive the document.
Okay. For planning purposes for this evening, let's assume that she would like them by next Tuesday, which would be the 19th, which gives everybody a week, roughly a little bit less than a week. If she gives us more time, that's great, but let's plan to have them to her by Tuesday, the 19th. Okay. Everybody, just give me a thumbs up if everybody's okay with that.
Yep.
Okay. And I believe that's it. I don't think there's anything much else, right? Okay, so we're going to get our recommendations written. We will be meeting prior to town meeting, as always, for about 45 minutes to make sure that we have these last few things, that transfers and the numbers correct. So let's plan for about 45 minutes. So 6:15 at the middle school on Tuesday, May 10th. Everybody good with that?
Sounds good.
And Susan, we'll see you at the moderators meeting on the 27th.
Yes, and I will let anyone know if there's any changes after that, but he may add a consent calendar for some things. If there are, I'll let you know.
I hope so.
But yeah, there's 33 warrant articles, so a consent calendar is probably going to come in handy. And David, I will remember that what you said about not bundling the zoning thing, so don't worry about that, and make sure that's should he suggest that, I will let him know that we don't support that. Okay.
I don't think he will, because that's kind of his gig, but.
No, I know, but I just wanted you to know that I remembered us discussing that. I didn't want you to think I forgot. So,
All right.
all right. Does anyone have anything else? Anything?
I'm cool.
Nope, all good.
All right. Well, if nobody has anything else, and this will be our last Zoom meeting for a while, just to recap, I know we will have one over the summer because we will need to welcome Mike and Jamil's replacements, as well as set the calendar for the fall. But it'll be a quick Zoom meeting. And then in the fall, we will, unless there's a change, we will pick back up with in-person meetings, but with a Zoom option. Okay. And we will also in July need to vote for a new clerk, obviously. All right. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Rob. I can't remember if I have to take a roll call vote or not, so I'm just
No.
going to go ahead and do it. I don't. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you.